Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that have been done right and or done wrong. Here we go. So this video does not follow the typical critical incident briefing type of format that you would expect, but they do have a news conference that they talk about this incident, and then they also publish the video from the camera itself without the news conference thing going on by itself. So this video is the news conference, and they show the video in the background on the TV. I will actually, when it gets to that point of playing that, I will cut over to it. That way you can actually see it full screen versus try and watch it right there on their screen. Not the best way for them, I think, to be producing critical incident type of videos. I think that some more time could have been involved in, putting together a full package. But I still applaud them for their transparency and getting things out to the public. So here we go.
I appreciate everyone coming out so I can tell you about the events that led up to the attempted murder of Officer Malik Daricaud. He's 25 years old and a 2-year officer with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. So on March 19th at 11:15 p.m., task force officers made a traffic stop for a red light. The traffic stop was made at I-295 and 103rd. During that traffic stop, they approached the driver, they spoke with him, they got his driver's license, and they began just a side of the road investigation. He quickly admitted right away that he ran a red light, and he understood why they stopped him. During the course of the investigation, they were having a conversation with him, and they asked him about searching his car, looking through his car. And the conversation goes on from there. So what I'd like to do at this point, I'd like to draw your attention to our video boards here so you guys can get an opportunity to see the body-worn camera video from that traffic stop.
Not shutting the car off. Apologize about what? Yeah, you ran the red light.
Is this your vehicle?
Okay.
I can run it. You got it.
Yeah, I was moving a little fast. I apologize about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you, man. Where are you headed to? Girl's house? Okay. Where's that at? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear with the road noise was. Cassie? Oh, okay.
That's it.
Alright. Do you have your registration with you?
Yes, sir.
You mind getting that for me? Who's Rebecca? Okay. Alright. Yeah, the registration you said? Yeah. Said it's in there?
Yes, sir. That's not a ticket, actually. It says paid successfully.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any firearms or hard narcotics in the vehicle or anything like that? Okay. We're with a task force. That's what we're out here looking for, man. Is people with hard narcotics, stuff that's killing people, and illegally carried firearms. Yeah, I got you, man. That's good. That's good, you know. But that's what we're out here looking for. Even you said you don't have anything like that in the vehicle. You might be take a quick check, and then we can get you on your way. Do what? No reason. Okay. Yeah. You said you're cool if we take a quick check. It'll only take about 30 seconds, and we can get you on out of here. I'm sorry, I can't hear with the face mask on. Okay. It's your wife's car, but...
It's our car.
Are you able to just step out to talk to us? Because I can't hear you from over there with the face mask. What were you saying now?
I'm saying I can't. This is my wife's car.
Okay, but you're operating it.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't speeding or anything. I just ran the light.
Right, I hear you.
Yeah, sir, I'm not no bad person. I'm just trying to get you a girl.
Nobody ever said you're a bad person. That's what we do out here is we're looking for like fentanyl, meth, crack, and stuff like that, and then like some illegally carried firearms. Are you a convicted felon?
Yes, sir. Check my
You ain't got nothing to worry about. Okay, I got you.
Okay, I respect the law.
We respect the people out here too, man. We just have a high crime rate in Jacksonville. I'm sure you probably heard you live in Jacksonville, right? And this is what the people want, is they want us to take some type of action and well, yeah, I mean, we never said you were.
What do you got in the car, man? All right, this is joint. It doesn't matter. You're an operation. Take a peek at your vehicle. It takes 30 seconds. Get you on your way. Bypass. It's not illegal. I don't need her permission. You're operating the vehicle. He was just explaining to me that you guys are looking for drugs. Is drugs and guns? You don't have any? We'll be on your way. Hello? And then we can work with you on the other stuff. Please hang the phone up while you're on the traffic stop. Why would I do that? Because you're in the middle of our investigation, okay? At this point, our suspicion level is very high that you have something here, okay?
Dude, we got your name. You're gonna get it. In contact.
Pause right there for me. So if you look, just as a point of clarification, if you look at the top left of the screen, you'll see 320 of 2023. It was actually 319 of 2023. That reads what we call Zulu time or universal time, and it's 4 to 5 hours ahead. Because of we spring forward or daylight savings time, it's 4 hours ahead. So that was about 11:23 p.m. on 3/19 of 2023. So I wanted to make sure you guys understood what that meant. Axon does that with their cameras because they're used pretty much everywhere. So as you can see, the subject, Mr. Tyliko Maduro, he's a black male, 32 years old. He fled the scene. Officers did not give chase because it was merely a traffic violation at that point. We want to make sure that when we conduct a vehicle chase, it's for violent felony that's been committed or something else that we have knowledge of. They did not give chase. Rather, they kept his name and they went on their days off. After they returned from their days off, which was this morning, they began a follow-up investigation to try to identify and find the home of this individual, Mr. Maduro, which they did do. So about 4:30 this morning, they went to 6800 Ridgeview Avenue, where they knocked on the door several times, were not able to make contact with him. They did hear a female inside the house, but once they heard her that one time, they did not hear her anymore. At one point, they made contact with his mother, actually got her to the scene. She walked up to the front door with the officers. She unlocked the front door. The officers did not make entry. And I'll tell you, once they got to the front door and she opened that door, I'll move on to another video that I want you to see and show you what happened once that door was opened.
Nothing wrong with your audio, it's just in buffer mode.
Nico? Oh, Max. Hey, Max. Nico? Hello? Nico? Everybody home?
Whoa, that's a big dog.
No, Nico, stop. Please, Nico. No, they're gonna kill you. Put the gun down, Tyliko. Son, please. Please, son. Please, son, they're gonna kill you, son, please.
24, 6841,
No, you're not.
2462, that's 461 down. We need units now.
Nico, I love you. Okay, can
That's really firing at us.
let me go?
X-ray 461's down.
I'm going.
Usually 162.
X-ray 461 is down. That camera view that you saw pointing straight up in the air was the officer's body cam pointing straight up in the air after he was shot. He did not move from that point. He is currently in the hospital fighting for his life. Officers did not return fire. As a matter of fact, as this thing went further and throughout the morning, SWAT team officers came to the scene. We surrounded the house. We did the things that we need to do to try to get that subject out of that house safely. No shots were ever fired from us. He did fire a couple different volleys of shots from the house, eventually killing himself. Our officers from that point on moved forward safely, and now we're continuing to work the scene to gather all the evidence that we need to move further and bring this case to a clearance. And with that, I'll answer any questions that I can. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, I know this is pretty much a very tough time for you to be experiencing, but I just want to know where your mind is at right now, personally.
Well, so I went to the hospital first. My first stop this morning was the undersheriff and I went to the hospital to visit the officer and his wife, and it's difficult seeing him lying there and immobile, and it's hard. But when it comes to what we have to do as police officers, we understand that the possibilities. We don't join to get shot. We don't join to get in shootings. We don't even join the sheriff's office to kill people. We join the sheriff's office because we love our community. We want to take care of those in it. Unfortunately, this is the result that happens sometimes. Now we are in prayer for our officer, and we hope he makes a full recovery.
As far as that officer, can you say, is he able to listen? Can he speak at all?
When I was there this morning, he was in a lot of pain. and he was saying things, but you know, the way it was explained to us, as much as they could share, you know, it's difficult for doctors because they have the Hippocratic Oath. As much as they could share is that he was still in a really tenuous situation, and like I said, we're just hoping he makes a full recovery.
What's the message that you have to not only him and his wife, but his family and any other officer that might find himself in this type of situation?
I would say just please be careful. Always know that first and foremost, we want to keep you, your family, the members of our community safe, and just take care of yourself so you can go home at the end of your shift.
Sheriff, this suspect I'm hearing has no real serious record. Can you clarify?
Yeah, it's really strange to me, Dan. We didn't find anything difficult or tough, or no convictions on his record. It's hard to explain what's in someone's mind when they do something like that. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sheriff, was there another officer hit when shots were fired?
No, there was no other officers injured.
At the time of the initial traffic stop a few days ago, did officers believe in that moment that he maybe had any illegal firearms or anything like that, or no until he sped off?
I think during the conversation, you know, just the actions and the nervousness, you know, I mean, people are naturally nervous, but when part of the process, you know, we have a responsibility to this community, right? Our responsibility is to be proactive and try to stop things from happening, and we have issues. So they're out there working these stops, doing these stops, working these calls in these cases to try to stop some of that before it happens. So I think during the process they suspected something might have been in there, but you know, we didn't get a chance to find out because he drove off.
Why 4:30 in the morning and maybe not until daylight or anything like that?
There's no reason to wait. I think the best time that you knock on someone's door is as early as possible. As soon as you get to work, or if you're getting ready to leave, and you have the opportunity to do that, then let's do it. Let's see if we can find out. And I believe all they were going to do was just ask me questions.
Sir, can you confirm who else was in the house?
I cannot.
And as far as bringing his mother into the situation, is that kind of protocol for something like this?
I wouldn't say it's protocol. I think what they were trying to do is they weren't going to kick his door open. They didn't have probable cause to do that. So the best way to try to get there and to get to him and speak to him would be his mother. They felt like at that point. I think, in my mind, you don't think that someone's going to open fire if his mother's at the front door. You know, that's the way I would think.
And I'm looking, Sheriff, that apparently a rifle was used by the suspect?
That's correct. Should have still shot. Can you pull the still shot up for me? That's a rifle. They shoot 7.62 millimeter rounds.
The other still shot.
Yes. And then I want to show you another still shot of what it looked like when they entered when they opened the door. If you look into the background right there, that's what they saw when they opened that front door. He was waiting for them.
Sheriff, it sounds like that's the kind of thing that they were looking for, right? This unit was looking for last week.
Well, you know, what we look for is, like I said, it's our responsibility to make sure we get illegal guns or folks that are carrying guns illegally. In this case, had he had one in the car, if it wasn't being concealed improperly, he'd have been perfectly fine. But you know, we're looking for people that are carrying guns. You know, fentanyl is an issue. It's killing a lot of people in our community. So that's all the kind of things we're looking for when we do these traffic stops.
Sheriff, one of my colleagues at the station, they want to know, do you believe that the officer's injuries will be significant and long-lasting?
They are significant, extremely significant, yes.
And just to be clear, this person did not have a previous record or anything?
Did not. He did not. Nothing that we found. No felonies.
Was that Daricaud's body cam both times, the last week and this week?
No, Daricaud was not there at the traffic stop. He was there this morning with his partners, but not at the traffic stop.
And can we go back to that rifle shot?
Sure.
Please.
Sheriff, in the meantime, can we also get the spelling?
Yes. It's Malik, M-A-L-I-K, D-A-R-I-C-A-U-D.
And for the suspect today?
Yes. Tyliko Maduro, Maduro.
And just, I guess for the general public's knowledge, I mean, obviously there's been a couple incidents within the last couple of months. I mean, these are things that you guys never know if you're going to get into in this type of situation.
Right.
Can you kind of speak to that in general? Because we had one officer who got grazed in the ear, we had an officer attacking Walmart, and now we have Malik fighting for his life. So.
You want to tell you what I think? What I think is there's an environment that exists today that encourages people to fight the police. And that should not be the case. And I see this happening more and more around the country. It's happening here since I've been sheriff twice. I've only been sheriff since November 20th. And it's very rare that you have officers shot in that short a time frame. We have to change that. We're working towards changing that. And we're working hard to show our community that, one, we care about it, but two, we don't tolerate you shooting at our police officers. So if that's something that you think you can do and get away with it, you're not. It's just not.
Sheriff, how are you absorbing all of this? Because this is a lot to take in.
Well, I have these fine people standing next to me, and the reason that they're here is because I want to show you the people that have been here since the very beginning of this investigation. These are our staff members, and this is very serious. So I want the minds that we put in place to help go through this process and think these things through. You know, any man that says he's an island unto himself is completely wrong. I'm not. That's why these people are here, to help us look at these things and get through these things, and that's why they're here. And that's where I am. I'm disappointed that this happened. I'm worried about our police officer. I'm angry at people that decide they want to shoot at police officers. If they'll shoot at a police officer, they'll shoot anyone.
The officer who was shot, you know him, y'all know him best. What's he like? Who is he to y'all?
Well, I mean, he's been here for 2 years, so we don't know him. I mean, there's over 3,000 employees at JSO. We don't know him, but we do know him to be a fine young police officer from everything that we've been told. And I don't know if his career is going to ever be the same. If there will be a career from here on, we can only pray that there will be.
What happens next in the investigation in terms of all this, considering the suspect is dead and obviously he's still fighting for his life?
We will continue to work the crime scene. You know, these crime scenes are very detailed, very long. It's very important to collect all the evidence that we can, because there's a public that wants to know. That's why I wanted to do this morning or this afternoon, the way that we did it. I wanted the public to be able to see what led up to it, what happened a week ago, and what happened this morning as a result of that. It's very important to be as transparent as possible. I told people from the very beginning that was my goal, to be as transparent as possible and let people see it into the sheriff's office and what goes on. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to continue to work the crime scene. We're going to continue to do the things that we need to do, so that when we put this case forward, people see it. They'll know that everything was done the way it should have been done, to actually bring him in safely, without any further violence.
Just for our general knowledge of the public, this X-ray unit, is that a relatively newer unit, or no? And you guys
no, it's basically a task force unit, and zones have task force units, and we have a citywide CPR team, community problem response team, and they respond to problems in communities that we know exist, communities where you may have a lot of shooting, robberies, and things like that. But also they're there as anything. They handle just about anything that comes up. Where a patrol officer is answering calls to service, they have the time and the opportunity to do some other things outside of just answering calls to service.
Did he have any kids? Officer Malik, did he have any kids or a wife?
I'm understanding he has one child, but we'll confirm that with you later on.
And was he shot just the one time? Where was the shot? I don't know if you can reveal that.
I don't want to reveal where it was, but yes, it was one shot. But it was a potentially fatal shot. If you focus on the video, you will see that he fell immediately. There was 3 rounds fired. He fell immediately and did not move from that point. And another round or 2 was fired later on. And then when the SWAT team got there, he was firing more rounds out the back of the house.
And what was the warrant that they were executing? Was it for fleeing or evading arrest?
No, they didn't have a warrant. That's why they didn't go in the house. They went to knock on the door. That's it. Have a conversation. You know, there's nothing in the law books that says we can't have a conversation. Actually, if you're doing it right, you should be having conversations, and that's what they were going to do. Maybe talk to him about what happened a week prior. You know, get his mindset, see where he was. But that's why there were no guns drawn. You know, one officer had his taser out. That was so that just in case he needed to use, if there was something that came up where you know he had to use the taser, he would. But no one had guns drawn because they weren't going to kick the doorway. They weren't going to force entry because they didn't have a warrant.
As far as the suspect's mother now, I mean, is there any rule with her anymore? Or does she talk to you guys and this type of thing?
She talks to us. She cooperates.
Thanks.
She's not in any danger, any trouble. So.
Thanks, sir.
All right.
She's not.
So they did actually throw a picture of the rifle up there. It's not a great detailed photo, but it is a SKS type of rifle. It has a buttstock on there that is what you typically find on an AR, and of course it has this forward assist grip thing. This actually might be one of those junky forward assist grip things that turns into a bipod. I don't know, but it is a 7.62 by 3.9, and the officer was shot in the neck. So there's a news article that I read that indicated where he had been shot at. So and also in this news article, it talked about him being transferred to a rehab center and for his next phase of recovery. They gave him a honor escort with motorcycles and marked and unmarked vehicles, a police escort with lights and siren from the hospital to the rehab place. And they said that the last update is that he's making positive progress and was getting more movement and feeling in his body. So that leads me to believe that the round he took in his neck hit his spine, and that is why he instantly fell back and did not move at all during that incident. He probably became paralyzed after being hit and was just physically incapacitated, could not move. Now, whether or not he was conscious during all that, I have no idea. But that's something scary to think about. Like, you take a hit like that and then boom, you fall and you are incapable of moving anymore because you are paralyzed, and then to feel that pain, at least from the point above, and hear everything going on and not be able to move, that's probably got to be one of the top scariest things to think about. And like I said, I don't know if he was conscious during that or not, but shit, man, like that had to be, whew, that's tough to think about. And he's lucky that, he fell backwards like he did. That could have potentially helped keep his airway open. I don't know how long it took for them to get to him and drag him back to safety, away from that open doorway. He could have been there for several minutes. If he had fallen forward and the positioning was just right, he could have potentially suffocated just by landing a weird, awkward way and him not being able to correct himself in positioning and keep an airway open. That's just, that's worst case scenario. Being hit like that is getting paralysis and then not being able to do anything. You're still laying there and listening to everything going on. That's got to be torture. So they talked about at the very beginning, their first encounter with this guy was a few days before. He committed some type of traffic offense. They pulled him over, was probing, trying to get information, see if they could search the vehicle, and the dude took off, and they did not pursue. But they talked about this guy did not have what they could find was a record. Now, how extensive of a search did they do? I don't know. Did they just look for Florida only? Like, yeah, he has no, Florida record, and then they called it quits on that. Could he have a record somewhere else? That's possible. I haven't seen a news update or anything that indicated if they found out any more information on him. And I don't think there probably will be. He's dead. He's gone. There's not like there's going to be much else to be said about this incident, especially because the police didn't shoot at him or shoot him. But it's possible that he could have had a record somewhere else. It's possible that he was one of those lucky people who's been involved in crimes and has not been caught for them. Why would he do what he did? I mean, there's no good explanation. If he didn't have a criminal record in Florida, police are there. He knows it's the police. His mom's knocking on the door. He can hear his mom. He's got that rifle. Why is he shooting at the police? I think there's a lot more to this than just someone who's completely innocent and was just super scared of the police. Like, that's not what's going on. There was something going on with this guy. I would not be surprised if he had buku amount of drugs in that car when he took off, but we'll never know because they didn't chase him. They didn't go down and catch him because of no pursuit policies. Now, if they had pursued him and got him cornered and stopped, would he have pulled a gun out? I don't know. Because, again, we don't know if there was a gun in the car when he got pulled over or not. But I would suspect that if he did have a gun and they pursued him and it came to a stop, he probably would have ended this in a gunfight. Because it ended in a gunfight a few days later when he's at home and he's shooting his rifle past his mom at the police. Very well could have hit his mom. That goes to show you the kind of person that he is. Like, your mom is in your field of view. You're shooting past your mom. You damn near could hit her. And he still does that. And aside from that, knowing that the police could return fire and they could hit her. Like, he has to know or suspect that by him shooting, the police would return fire. His mom is in the middle of the crossfire. Like, this dude is a turd. Not just a turd because he shot a cop, but a turd because he put his mom, his own mother, in that kind of position. Like, fuck this guy. Well, there's more to him than what's known right now. I'd say this guy was probably involved in some stuff. He just got lucky in life and never got caught and had serious charges. I wish they would shown some footage from the other officers there. I would have liked to have seen how this scene played out. Why did they not return fire? Was the mom in the middle of it? They did not feel comfortable firing. I can understand that. Sometimes it's not a good firing solution, so to speak. The tactic of using mom to come there, yeah, that could work. Try to get mom to coerce him to come outside. But why are they being forced to have to use mom to do that? They've got his information. They got him on body camera, him taken off. Why didn't they get a warrant to go in there and arrest him? Is it because of the judicial system down there? They just wouldn't entertain the idea of giving a warrant for something as lowly as that? If that's the case, then the judicial system there is the one responsible for this officer getting shot like this. And if mom would have got shot, they would have been responsible for that. But I don't know that situation. I don't know if it was judicial system just not going through with wanting to give a warrant for something like that, or if they decided they didn't want to jump through all those hoops and they'd rather get this guy to come to the door, talk to him, coax him outside, and then take him into custody at that point and charge him. Because they have, for something like that, they should have up to, a year to be able to charge for. It's not like you run away and because one day has elapsed, you're scot-free. Like that, it don't work like that. Usually misdemeanors, you got up to like a year to do something, you know. Other things maybe a little bit longer, and then there's some things there is no time limit. Like it is, you could be arrested at any time for it, like murder. You go 50 years without being caught, and you can still be arrested for murder. Other things, you know, like running stoplights or running from the police, there is kind of a time limit on that. But I don't know. But the tactic of using mom, I can see that as being kind of okay. Like using mom, you know, mama's here now. Like mama's going to talk some sense into the dummy. Or he won't do anything stupid with mama around. Would that work other times? Yeah. And it's probably something that they've done in the past and it worked great. But in this instance, it did not work great. If they had a warrant to be able to go in there, then I think by having mom come there and deliver the keys to them, that would be an easier way for them to gain entry through the door. But having mom come there and then mom standing right there in the doorway and opening it and everything, that puts mom in a lot of unnecessary risk, I think. The SWAT team, so they talked about the SWAT team coming there. I wish they would have shown that footage as well, because he shot multiple rounds at the SWAT team as they got there. Why didn't they start pumping, you know, gas into the building to smoke them out? I don't know. I think they could have talked a little bit more about that, some tactics and stuff on scene. You know, if you got the SWAT coming out, you got barricaded subject, you know, I think pumping that building full of CS gas is a pretty good option. You know, smoke their ass out. They're not going to want to stay in there that long when you keep smoking that stuff in there. Medical gear, medical training. So these officers had to deal with an officer who'd been shot and is unable to move under their own power, and shot in the neck too. Like that's kind of a crappy place to have a wound. So they would have had to have reached him and removed him from the hot zone to a safer area. So that's kind of care under fire right there. Even though, you know, they may not have been actively being shot at, they were still in line of fire when they would go up there to get him and drag him out. So you can't just start enacting care right there in the open. You got to get them back to cover. And dragging dead weight is it's not easy. And you know, there's some different techniques out there as far as, you know, moving an injured person. With outer vests, you know, if it's going to be the tactical vest that people wear and it's got the molly webbing all over it, you know, and the drag handle on there, that's great for moving people. But if you got someone who's uniformed like this, you know, you don't have a nice drag handle on the outside to grab a hold of. So you need to think about how you're going to move someone in a full uniform like that, etc. And then where you're going to move them to. And then the care that you render. So a lot of agencies and companies will provide just a CPR AED level, or CPR AED and first aid level of medical training. And that's usually all done within like 2 or 3 days. Usually from either American Heart or American Red Cross. I've been an instructor for both of those organizations, and the curriculum, I can tell you, is pretty watered down when it comes to the first aid stuff. The CPR AED stuff is good. That's the kind of the bread and butter of that program. The first aid stuff that gets thrown in there, again, like I said, it's kind of a watered down kind of thing. It goes over environmental emergencies, you know, what to do if someone's having heat stroke or they got hypothermia. You know, what to do if someone gets stung by a bee and they got anaphylactic reaction, but they got to, an EpiPen, how to assist them with taking their EpiPen. Someone who has an inhaler, how to assist them taking that. Someone's got a sprained ankle, how to, or an arm that's messed up, how to put the arm in a sling. Minor cuts and stuff, how to wrap a wound with a bandage. But it doesn't go in depth for real traumatic type of injuries. It doesn't go into how to insert a nasopharyngeal airway, how to use a bag valve mask on someone, how to utilize a chest seal on someone, or how to utilize a tourniquet on someone, how to pack a wound on someone, etc. It just goes over very basic CPR stuff. If there is any information as far as a tourniquet, it's an extra little video to watch, and it's not a part of the main course of the video. So that level of training, in my opinion, is inefficient for battlefield type injuries. And for battlefield type injuries, the most effective way to treat that is TCCC type of care, tactical combat casualty care, TCCC. That is a level of care, the way it's set up, that is most efficient to save lives for people who've incurred battlefield type injuries. Of course, here in the U.S., for domestic law enforcement and domestic security, battlefield injuries is going to be from small arms fire. We don't have missile attacks here. We don't have IEDs and stuff like that. Now there is some explosive threats here and there, but it's mostly going to be from the small arms aspect of it. So that's where the battlefield type injury that I talk about comes from. And when the TCCC curriculum was devised and has been thoroughly refined since then, the data that's driven it has been what have people died from the most in the battlefield. And from that data set, it does involve more than just gunfire. It involves artillery and hand grenades and rocket propelled grenades and all that stuff. But even when you take that stuff out and you still look at just small arms fire, you start with massive hemorrhaging. So in TCCC, you follow an acronym called MARCH, MARCH, MARCH. And the very first letter, M, stands for massive hemorrhaging. And that is the #1 leading cause of death for battlefield injuries, people bleeding to death. So at minimum, a tourniquet is what you need to be carrying on you if that's the only thing you're going to be carrying at all. Now, for this particular case, the guy being shot in the neck, is a tourniquet going to help? No. You can't put a tourniquet around someone's neck and tighten it up. You'll kill them, right? So a tourniquet can't fix everything, but when you look at the numbers of things, what people die from the most, it is bleeding to death. So if there's one medical thing that I can encourage people to carry on them, it's going to be a tourniquet, because that will help in a lot of cases. Not every case, but a lot of cases. And then aside from that, compressed gauze or gauze with hemostatic agent in it, or pressure dressing, something like that. Now, could those things have been used for his neck area? Potentially, yes. Pressure bandage, you're not going to be able to get a tight wrap around the neck with a pressure bandage, because again, you can start occluding or constricting the airway there and start pressing into the carotids and diminishing blood flow to the brain, thus ending up killing the person. But you could use the gauze to put into the wound there, use a hemostatic agent right in there to help control some of that bleeding. And then from there, it's just managing their airway and making sure their airway is open and good. Not much else you can do for a person with a neck wound like that. But as you start getting in the airway and respiratory and stuff like that, even at a very basic level of knowledge, what would be at an EMT basic level, you can still do a lot for a person by maintaining their airway with just something simple as a nasopharyngeal airway or something like that. If there's significant trauma to the neck area that has damaged the trachea at a certain point, there is an advanced airway method to be able to help that person. But that's going to be something that people at a paramedic level are going to know how to do. And it's not something that is normally taught in a basic TCCC kind of course. An emergency tracheotomy, it's just something that not a whole lot of people are going to be able to do, but it's still an option for people to attain that level of training and be able to do. But it's not something that's just offered or shown in just normal courses. It's a more specialized, advanced skill set. And that's definitely not something you're going to get in a CPR AED first aid class. That's like kindergarten versus, a doctorate kind of thing right there. I mean, it's not even night and day difference. It's like centuries difference right there. But yeah, medical training and having the gear is something that is most vitally important for public safety people to be having, because you cannot be counting on the ambulance to be able to get there on time. Ambulance has a response time sometimes of 5 to 10 minutes, and a person can die very quickly within that amount of time. And if you don't know how to render aid to someone or to yourself, you could die waiting for that ambulance. If you don't know how to render aid to someone, and all you know how to do is just kind of sit there with them and hold their hand, you're going to have to sit there and watch that person die as you hold their hand, because you don't know what to do. And to me, that's a horrible option. And that's an option that just should not exist. But unfortunately, agencies have budgeting issues. They can't afford, awesome training like that. So it really boils down to the individual officer and them going forth and seeking out that training themselves. You can do it. All you got to do is stop buying Starbucks all the time. Stop buying all these little creature comforts all the time. You can save up the money and take a good medical class. And it's something that I highly implore you to do. In my opinion, if you're going to carry a gun for a living, you should also carry medical gear for a living. If you carry a gun for a living, you realize or think that you could be involved in a gunfight. And if that's the case, then you need to realize that in a gunfight, bullets go both ways and you could be shot. So if you're going to carry the tools to induce trauma, you need to carry the tools to reduce trauma. That's it. I don't have much of anything else to say. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.